Ohio State added another blue chip prospect to its #1 ranked 2022 recruiting class. We got to talk about it after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You got to help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about Kyion Grayes, who has committed to the Ohio State University. I almost said the University of Ohio State, which has been really awkward and off-putting. The Ohio State University. And he is the 11th commit to that 2022 class. That is more commits than any other recruiting class in the country presently, and helps Ohio State hold on to that #1 spot in the rankings, along with guys like Quinn Ewers and Caleb Burton and others who are already committed to what it is that they are building and continuing to build at Ohio State. This kiddo comes out of Chandler, Arizona, which is full of talent, and Ohio State's been going into Arizona here of late. I think Jack Miller, among others, to go get talent, and I've always said that Arizona's really chock full of kiddos, man. Take a look at Bijan Robinson out at Texas, Mark Andrews a few years back, Spencer Rattler a couple years after him, and on it goes. Brock Purdy, Chuba Purdy. We can keep going about the talent that comes out of the state of Arizona. All Herm Edwards or Jed Fish would have to do is lock up the state, put a gate around it. Perhaps you would have a national championship caliber football team, because that is the kind of talent you can get out of that state. But with Kyion Grayes choosing to go to Ohio State, they are getting close to what I have said, which is you're chasing Alabama. You got to build like Alabama. Alabama added Ty Thompson earlier in the weekend, a 5-star prospect, one of the best players in the country, top quarterback in the country, to its 2022 class, following the #1 ranked class of all time. But Ohio State was right there in the thick of it, really leading the 2021 recruiting cycle for so long. And Ryan Graves is stacking the roster 1 through 85. That's what you're going to have to do if you're going to knock off Alabama, who has been able to use this as a recruiting tool. If you go to Alabama and you play for Nick Saban, you give him 3 years, you come out with a national championship ring. Ohio State hasn't won a national championship since 2014. I realize that seems a little highfalutin to say it in that way, because there are still programs that have never won a national championship. For instance, Oklahoma, a blue blood, hasn't won a national championship now going on 20 plus years. You got to remember that the Sooners really are they're chasing it in a different way than Ohio State is. The window for them is right now, and I believe that they have an opportunity to go and beat Ohio State, beat Alabama, beat Georgia, beat Clemson for the national championship this year, especially in another year where LSU feels like it is closing the gap once again. They're going to be in the thick of it in 2022. But I really got to just measure not just the evaluation, right, for Ohio State, because that's one thing. It is to be able to close on these recruits early and often, right? Because the thing that I've always been impressed about with Ohio State in particular is that they have half the class committed before we get to the summer, when you can really start to do a lot of work and you can put together your already committed class to go and get the prospects that you want most, right? Having Ben Chrisman in the class early helps you get guys down the line. Having Kyle McCord in the class early helps you get guys down the line. And knowing that you got the #1 player in the country in Quinn Ewers, committed to what you were doing in 2020 for the 2022 cycle, is ridiculous, right? Like, it's one of those things that I touched on in an interview you can find on the channel with Reed Carrico, where I was talking about, yo, man, you were one of the first guys in there and getting in there like September of 2019 for the 2021 cycle. It's almost as if it's, hey, the earlier you get in, the more you secure your spot, the better off we're going to be. Get guys like Travion Henderson, Evan Pryor into the boat early. Like, I'm really just I keep saying the same things over and over about this Ohio State recruiting class and about Ohio State's recruiting strategy, but they're just doing it at that level, right? And in any other galaxy, they'd be so far and away ahead. But Alabama exists. right? And we have these conversations about whether or not Oklahoma is, or not even Oklahoma, just anybody is able to compete with Alabama. Is it good that Nick Saban can get all of these 5-star recruits going to Alabama? Is there some sort of parity that needs to be taking place? No. Saban is doing what I've always said you can do. You can sign 25 5-stars if that's what you're trying to do. That should be the goal, quite honestly, right? You want to get 25 of the guys that you know can help you win national championships. Coaches will say that, but to see some of these guys that are able to do it, North Carolina is continuing to recruit at a very high rate, and you can tie that directly to Mac Brown. Wait, who is North Carolina before Mac Brown gets there? Clemson. Who is Clemson before Dabo Swinney gets there and turns it into a place to be? Saban had said when he was at Miami, leaving Miami, this is one of the things that he thought about, which I still, it hits for me. I'm going to give it back to you. At Miami, I could perhaps get one NFL draft pick. That's if it hadn't already been traded away, all right? So knowing all of that, if I go to college and I get 10 first-round draft picks, why wouldn't I do that? And he won a national championship at LSU when they hadn't won a national championship in years. Goes to Alabama, 2 years in, he's winning a national championship, right? And I think that's what Ryan Day is trying to do, and I think you're going to see more of that down the line. So kudos to them. Kyion Grayes, Power 5 starter. Blair Angelo gives this particular evaluation. Lean, narrow build with projectable length and room to add mass to his frame. Well-rounded pass catcher with a knack for getting open. Fluid route runner who sets up defenders to generate space. Instinctive and creative in his possession. Shows great body control after the catch. Good burst off the line of scrimmage. Very good hands, coordinated catcher who can reel in the ball away from his body. Technician on the underneath plays and can weave his way through traffic. Could continue to add speed and physicality to his game. Potential Power 5 starter with NFL draft potential in the early rounds. Looking at perhaps 3rd, 4th round, but, development and all those sorts of things that Ohio State can do. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.